Do you accept the Public Accounts Committee, a very senior committee of MPs, say that part of the reason for increasing homelessness, part of the reason for rough sleeping, is connected to the sanctions regime that you're in charge of as universal credit rolls out?
No, well, I think you're bringing together a number of things there. When it comes to the sanctions regime, actually, we've seen fewer sanctions over 2017 than we did in 2016 and 2015, so the number of sanctions are coming down.
But if you say I've got it wrong, let me just read you this. This is the Public Accounts Committee in February. Sanctions have increased in severity in recent years and can have serious consequences such as debt, rent arrears and homelessness. Are they wrong?
It is the case that in the last couple of years, the number of sanctions have fallen. Let's also remember that we have a welfare system that is based on conditionality, and rightly so. We pay money to people, but there are certain conditions that are in place. We do expect people to comply with those conditions. In some cases, where those conditions are not met, it is appropriate to have a sanction. If you don't have sanctions, essentially you don't have conditionality and you don't change behaviour. And, you know, we've got to put this in the context where we have got 3 million more people in work than was the case in 2010. Part of that is because we have a benefits regime that
is more aggressive.
Well, it's
more aggressive, it's more pointed, and it affects people's mental health and their homelessness as well.
It does place more conditions on people, and one of the reasons why I think we've got higher levels of employment, because we place conditions on people, that changes behaviour and that helps people get into work. Now, that's not to say that there aren't hard cases, cases where we get it wrong, and we want to work very hard to eliminate that. But I would defend the principle of saying, look, if we're going to give money to people, to actually lift people out of poverty on a sustainable basis, it's not just about giving them money, it's also about saying, what can we do and what can you do to get you into work?
I'm absolutely sure that you don't get up in the morning and think, how can I make people have mental breakdowns or become homeless and all the rest of it. But part of the problem, perhaps, is that your department doesn't really know very much about the effect of the sanctions that you're in charge of on actual people. Both the National Audit Office and the Public Accounts Committee have criticised your department for not knowing enough about the effect of sanctions in the real world, and your department has now accepted that.
Well, we're always looking to know more, to learn more, to have an understanding of everything that we do. But I come back to this point about having a benefit system that is designed to get people into work. And on the subject of mental health, and this is a sensitive point, and I'm not going to pretend for one moment that we have always got this right in every individual case, but we do know that getting people into work, giving people the benefit of working, the structure that provides, the self-esteem that provides, work could really help mental health as well, and we shouldn't pretend otherwise.
But this is an argument where the professionals are on the other side. The British Psychological Society and all the other psychological bodies in the country wrote to the press recently, and they said their call on you to immediately suspend the benefit sanction system. We see evidence which links sanctions to destitution, disempowerment and increased rates of mental health problems. Vulnerable people with multiple and complex needs are being disproportionately affected.
Now, I think the task for us is to ensure that we have an increasingly personalised welfare state, a system that properly understands the circumstances that individuals are in, and that is a challenge for us, and I fully accept that. But the idea of walking away from conditionality within the benefit system, which is what those who advocate getting rid of sanctions are essentially advocating, I think would not only be unfair to the taxpayer, but actually unfair to a lot of claimants, because it's that conditionality that helps change behaviour and helps get people into work.